afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another Kerfuffle panel show here. And I am delighted. We are the four horsemen at the moment. We are missing the horseman, but we'll come back to that in a second. We have Simon Gates of Homesearch. We have Marcus. We have Chris. Who are we missing? We're missing a Mike Nettleton. Mike, the pubs aren't open. I know that's not the case. Stop doing prop tech and being an agent, and come. I'm not gonna be Paxman, Mike. Come on the show. You're still welcome here. Anyway, if anyone can find him, bring him on. Gents, I am delighted to have you guys on. It's really kind of you to join us and to give your experience around the Homesearch product. We are delighted to see a new face here from the Homesearch itself. It is beholden on me because Sam did give me a little bit of a heads up.
I know.
There's no expense spared with the props here. I believe, Simon, it's your first year anniversary at Homesearch.
It is, yeah. 1 year.
He did tell me to sing you happy birthday, but literally the internet would crash if I tried doing that. So all I will say is, obviously, you might have expected your year to have gone a little bit differently, but then Sam promising you'll get to go out and meet all these people. It'll be fantastic.
literally that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, so I joined a year ago, and I spent a week at the office in London.
Yeah, and that was it.
And then the world went Pete Tong. And then I've been working from my spare bedroom for the last 11 and a half months. And I actually remember, this is going to sound random and off topic, but I was showing an English guy round a house in late 2019. Yeah, it must be late 2019. And he said, I'm going to pull out of this house, 750, 800 grand house. I said, I'm probably going to pull out because I'm not too sure I'm going to be able to go back working in London with this coronavirus. I went, what are you on about? It's going to blow over.
You call that right then. Simon, here's a clue, right? Just say what are both eventualities, and what we do is we cut and edit it, so you're always right down the line. It's fantastic. It's an old Chris Watkins trick, that. But anyway,
yeah.
We'll come back to him. Not that I'm obsessed with Chris or anything. So, Marcus, can you introduce yourself and just give us a bit of background on the business, where you are, kind of size and scope of the business, and then we'll get your experiences with the wonderful Homesearch.
Absolutely, sounds good. So I'm Marcus. I run Fine Homes Property. I'm based just between Leighton Buzzard and Milton Keynes in a small village called Great Brickhill.
Okay. I know it particularly well. Actually, isn't it true to say that Leighton Buzzard, Milton Keynes, that's essentially the Silicon Valley of estate agency and property? It certainly was. You used to have Connells are still down there, aren't they? You got Rightmove. I mean, that's as much as I know, but it sounds a lot.
Yeah, no, Rightmove at Caldecott and Connell's head office, everything. Connell's is in.
And you guys there as to make up that holy trinity.
Pretty much, exactly. Love it.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you for the intro. We'll come back and find out a bit more in a minute. And Chris, I always like this. Helpfully, look at that. Puts the name up there as well. If only the missus could do that, I wouldn't forget a name so often. But anyway,
I need to remember who I work for.
Yeah. Okay. And your good self, Coast and Country.
Coast and Country. So yes, we've had a bit of a journey, and kind of mirrors actually a little bit with Simon's. With the Homesearch journey that I started, which I know we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, we were 6 months old. We're a new business down on the south coast near Worthing. Yeah, sunny Worthing, as everyone loves to call it. And yeah, we've been with Homesearch pretty much from. Well, about a month after we started, we've been with Homesearch basically. So I'm a massive fan, loads to talk about. Simon's actually personally been a big help to me as an individual. So yeah, loving it.
By the way, that's Simon Gates, not Simon Whale, who's been a big help.
That's all I was hearing.
I'm sure.
Here he is. Wait a minute. Look at that perfect timing there. All right. Listen, you see, this is because you're setting the supplier prop tech world alight with your other products as well. But you okay?
Very well, mate. Yeah, good to see you. Yeah, good to see you. Sorry I'm late. Good to meet you, Chris. Good to see you, Marcus. Sorry I'm late.
Oh my God.
Hi.
Right. So I hope you've enjoyed the webinar today. Thanks for all for joining us. Okay, right, no worries at all. We were literally just doing the intro. So would you just give us, obviously we all know you, but just for those that don't, give us a bit of background about yourself and the business that you run.
Hi, yeah, great to see you all. Sorry, mate. Like I say, Michael Nettleton, chairman of Knock Dyton Estate Agents, 6-branch agency based up in Shropshire, with quite a decent sized lettings book as well. Recently onboarded with the good people at Homesearch, and we're thoroughly enjoying ourselves, and we're on the journey. So,
So what we've got here is we've got a really cross section, haven't we? We've got people who have just started off and then and started off with essentially from day one almost with Homesearch. Somebody who's using it a while, and then somebody who's just been onboarded as well recently. And I think what's interesting, we'll come back to that later on, Mike, is clearly Knock Dyton covers a massive geographical area, really, doesn't it? I seem to remember. I think my friend David Mintz talking to you on one of the shows, the PopTech one, and you were making the point to drive from two of the furthest offices. It's a good hour and a half, isn't it, in a car?
Yeah. It's a day to do the offices and spend a small amount of time, of a visit. It's a day to do the rounds, really. So, Zoom and everything's been fantastic.
So what's interesting there, and I'm sure we will come on to this more, is that, that's covering a lot of geographical area. There's a lot of area to, a lot of land to know about and everything else there. And so I'm guessing that was one of the big attractions of obviously Homesearch, but we'll come on to that. So if we can start with you, Chris, now, just because it's all been jumbled up and we're back at the top here. So I'm a simplistic man. We'll go from the top down there. Could you just give us an idea of why you chose them? You mentioned obviously how long you've been with them, but give us an idea of what was the because it does a number of different things. What was it that really caught your eye?
I think the first thing that stood out massively to me, and this was before I even started Coast and Country, was, as cheesy as it sounds, the passion from everyone, like Sam, Giles, and obviously then meeting Simon. It was just very different to any other kind of company I dealt with before. They genuinely wanted to help. They genuinely loved what they were doing. And I know, again, it sounds really cheesy, but that's what struck it with me, because I'm quite passionate about what I do. And I just felt like kind of our what's the word? Principles aligned. And I was speaking to Simon before we started Coast and Country from a previous employer that I worked for, and I was I could see it grow. And I remember it used to be in the lockdowns, actually, when Sam and Giles would put on their, I don't know if anyone else was on there, but the kind of their webinars of how Homesearch was growing and what they were implementing. And I just found it kind of exciting, and I found myself getting hooked to sort of see what they were putting in place. And I just think it's going to be one of the future companies of the way property works in this country now. So
it certainly feels like we're not just blowing smoke because they're here, but it feels like they're going to become one of those core suppliers, doesn't it? If they're not already, one of those kind of essentials. If you were to open up a business tomorrow, you'd have ticks in the box, wouldn't you? And Homesearch feels like it's there. I think what resonates with what you're telling me there as well is, look, sometimes we have to deal with companies that we don't particularly, believe in their, let's say their morals or but it's lovely when you can find a business that you're excited by the product and the solution, and the people there get you going as well, don't they? It
was massive, and their passion comes through in everything they do. So yeah, definitely love that.
Genuinely, there's a lot of thought leadership going on there, wasn't it? Which, and I don't mean that in a negative way either. Actually, some thought leadership, you just sort of roll your eyes, but actually it's all well thought out and with a common goal. I think you always feel like these are one of the providers that are on your side. I repeat it, so I will apologise endlessly, but we have plenty of suppliers to the business. We don't have too many genuine partners, and I think obviously that sounds like you guys are firmly in that latter case there.
Yeah, massive. We couldn't wait to sign up with them when we started up, so it was great.
Don't go too effusive with praise, because the price will start getting reflected there. We know.
Well, Simon did say he's going to pay me
something. Marcus, yourself, what was it caught your eye? What was the bit that you thought, actually, I need that in the business?
Yeah, so we've started about a year ago. So it was literally as the lockdown started, so it was around March time. It was the first demo that we had, was with Dan, and it was just personally at that point, obviously there were all the big plans, everything like that. There was lots of scope, and it sounded very exciting. But for me, I didn't actually think the letters would be the biggest focus, but I loved the idea of the letter feature. But for me, the actual thing that thought I've got to get involved in this was just because of the ease and just how easy it makes life with in terms of getting information. Just it was going through on a map search and just being able to pick any address and just literally get all of the information on sort of prices on average streets in terms of the net value, and then all the clever things that you can use that data for. And just information is power, isn't it, at the end of the day?
It absolutely is. And it's that thing about standing out from the crowd as well, isn't it? Until it becomes ubiquitous and everything else. And that's the different reason to have something is, you know, when your competitors are going out there with the portal's best price guide and everything else, it's, well, where's the differentiation there? Is you've got so much more data as well, haven't you, that you can genuinely catch that potential vendor's attention.
Exactly. I just felt that you'd be armed with that. So the fact, and I think we even on the demo, we did a couple of sort of draft letter drops on some specific roads for a couple of buyers on what they wanted. And they said, we want to be on this road. So Dan went through it and said, right, we'll do a couple of practice ones. And it was a no brainer. So it went through it. It was, as sort of Chris said, the energy was great. The passion was there. I just felt like he knew what he was talking about.
Yeah. That's not, by the way, you don't always have to buy products of people who know what they're talking about. My career has been a demonstration of that. I like what you say though as well, talking about that combination of the digital and the analog, if you like, in terms of it becomes really powerful, doesn't it? That blend of being able to portray information, but do that in a very tangible sense. You know, that what do they call it? Omni level, don't they? Or omni level marketing and everything else. That those two working hand in glove are particularly powerful.
It helps you tell a story. That's what it's all about for me.
Storytelling is it, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely. Thanks, Marcus and Mike. So you know your way around prop tech, and obviously, I'm not saying you've been around. That's outrageous. But so what was it? Obviously, you saw it relatively recently, and probably when it obviously by definition, Homesearch is most advanced in terms of functionality. What was it really that appealed to you? And as a multifaceted, multi-branch organisation, did other people in the business see other angles to it as well, or did you all sort of focus in on one thing?
It was predominantly driven by me in the first instance. I think, you know, as far as like Sam and Simon and everybody have done a first-class job from a PR point of view and being accessible to people in the industry. And Simon and I have had quite a few kind of conversations off camera where it's very evident that Simon has got a very good understanding of agency. So when I've kind of challenged the dogma on certain things, Simon's gone, yeah, funny enough, I agree with you, because when I was an agent, that's what I did as well, kind of thing. And it was quite refreshing, really, to know that, you know, I felt, you know, we were quite aligned in terms of what we actually wanted out of things.
There was none of that ivory tower stuff that you sometimes get.
No, Simon wasn't sat there with his notepad going, oh, that's a good idea, I'll write that down. That's really interesting. Thank you for that. It was like, no, actually, I've lived it and I've done it.
What was that,
Mike? but you know, he's actually lived it and he's actually done it. And he's actually got an opinion in terms of how we should do it as well. So one of the things I really like about what Sam says in terms of positioning Homesearch as the third browser. And that's a really important point, because we as agents, the first thing that happens when you get busy is anything that ain't, you know, nailed down, mission critical, it's going. So as a chairman and as someone who's, you know, whenever I have a good idea about bringing something into the business, I've only got so many shots a year that I can take before people start rolling their eyes. So here's another one. Game changer. Yeah, we get an account manager. It's like, oh no. And anyway, I digress. When we actually onboarded it and Simon did the training with people, like I say, he's talking to agents so that they can spot whether it's, you know, a load of rubbish or not. So the onboarding has been very straightforward and the buy-in has been good, which makes it a lot easier, because next time I have a get rich quick scheme about what we're going to use, they're going to go, oh, fair enough. Well, Homesearch was good, so, you know, we'll give you the benefit on this one. So
It's an important point, though, isn't it, as well? Because a lot of things we can, and they can be delivered for the best of intentions from a board level, from a boss level. But actually, they do have 1,000,001 other jobs and priorities and KPIs. And so if you don't get that buy-in from the team, quite often they expect a bit of buyer's remorse in the supplier sense happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, we've taken on board some great tech in the last years, and then you ask the staff, and they're like, oh, "Mate, no, I'm just haven't used it." And the invoice comes in at the end of the month, and everybody loses ultimately because you have to cancel it. So I'm really, really keen that we have a very good relationship with the guys and girls at Homesearch, and there is that kind of two-way communication, because it is a tool that can make you look great. Actually, it really can.
That's what it's about, isn't it? And before we go on to the next question, just to ask the three of you, it's fantastic, and I love these sessions when you hear straight from I should call it straight from the horse's mouth, but we might not get anyone to turn up anymore. But sometimes I think we forget, actually, as suppliers, that it's vital we get you guys talking about it. But actually, the one that's most important is what are your clients saying about it? And so what does the public say when you're presenting them with these reports and this information? Do they notice it, do you think, or do they remark on it? Anyone can answer that?
I can say they have with us for sure. When we do a valuation, or before we even do the valuation, send out what we call like a pre-valuation report, which is something, again, Simon gave the tip on doing. And the fact that you can see how many times they're clicking on it, how much they're looking at it, it shows how engaged they are with it already. And it gives you a real easy talking point to start off with. And you ask them what they thought. They were like, we never realized you could get that information, let alone present it like that. So I think people are surprised with how much information is actually at the fingertips of a lot of people, but in a good way. People are really impressed.
Yeah, Perry, you concur with that as well?
I definitely do concur. But I feel that
I have a concurring face, if I'm honest.
I think it goes a step further than that, because being honest, I mean, I've only just started really focusing on the reports a little bit more, and I'll print them off and I'll drop them through on the day of booking an evaluation now.
Yeah.
In an envelope with a card, and usually it's sat there when you go around to do your appraisal.
Yeah.
For me, I think that the report is such a drop in the ocean on Homesearch's capacity. For me, the stats are more the ahead, and more for me, Homesearch, the letters side of things. So you could say that has it really resonated with potential clients? I think when you go around to evaluation and they've got 3 or 4 letters there, that's the other side of the coin. So they don't actually know it's Homesearch.
Yeah.
But
it's about building your brand, and you ultimately know where that's come from, don't you? So that's great. Yeah,
we would know it is, exactly. Yeah.
Simon, I mean, this must be music to your ears, isn't it? Is this what and what's interesting is there's some commonality, but actually that a lot of them are picking up on different elements that are more important to them as well.
It is music to my ears, although I do have to say my heart rate dropped a little bit when Marcus's I concur, and then his face, I was like, oh my God, what is he going to say? But yes, it was a positive one. It was. So he had me going for a second. No, it's multifaceted, and it's interesting to hear what Chris has said, what Marcus has said, and then what Marcus said, that there are so many different elements to it where you can get great responses. So it might be one agent sending out direct mail, another might be using the report functionality, or another agent might just use it where actually it's just stats to go in their head. So for example, for me as an agent, having used it, what I noticed massively, and what I used in 2019 is nothing like what's available now. I had it as a conversation tool on appraisals. So I'd have those stats in my head. So it might be, Simon, tell me why more than 50% of people on your street have not moved in the last quarter of a century. What's so amazing about it? And they'd be like, how the hell do you know that? Like the other agent said he can have it on the market at the end of the day. Or here's my presenter with all these different things I do 7 days a week, professional photo, But I was like, tell me about your house. Why do half the population on the street live here for more than a quarter century? What's so amazing about it that I can possibly know without living here like you have? And my conversion rate went up significantly because people are like, you're the only agent who seems to take an interest in
conversational, empathetic. These are the things you're going to build that bond, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we got somebody just popped in with just a nice little with Homesearch. You get a decent product, but the real value is in with his sessions with Simon and his team. Simon, an exceptional agent turned Homesearch. So there you are. So that's lovely to hear. Great. Okay, well, let's just jump into another one then. So, Marcus, just give us an idea. We were talking off screen a minute there. Just give us an idea of how the product actually impacted on your business, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah. So, as I was sort of saying in the introduction, my business is slightly different because it's purely just me, and we've not set it up under one of the big self-employed models. It's purely its own entity, so it doesn't necessarily have the benefit of lots and lots of money to spend on marketing as such and things like that.
Yeah. So everything you choose has got to be really worth its dollar. You've got to be able to prove an ROI on it.
Got to try and justify it.
Yeah.
And for me, the real focus has been trying to go ultra local. That's personally my philosophy.
Yep,
so
love it.
From home, try and be the local expert and the person of the community and the realtor as such, rather than an estate agent. And for me, that's why I'm going to skip ahead to sort of the next question-ish, but the favorite feature side of it is personally.
So you just cut up there. Just say that again. What was the
letters feature?
The letters. Yeah.
Can't tell you how many times I've called Simon and we're having a doom and gloom conversation about how everything's ending, we can't get any houses on, and everything's terrible. But then we start to think of some clever campaigns with the letter side of things, what message we can get out there, and just try and focus on sort of telling people who I am. And again, it's sort of, rather than selling to them, it really is sort of on the basis. I know Simon's been doing a couple of the videos every day in February, which if you haven't checked out, it's definitely worth looking at. But it's all about sort of the journey. So, for example, my favorite one was the looking on the Homesearch data and working out the average price of a house in 1998.
Yeah.
Work out the average price of a house in 2020. How many days have passed, and that's the same as effectively if you would someone knocked on the door and gave you this much money every single day. It's like £40 a day or something like that.
Yeah,
a nice little story.
Yeah.
So it's, for me, it's a real way of communicating, and it's really enabled several sort of deals that wouldn't have happened without it, if I'm honest.
Okay. So talk to Marcus. Talk to you. So how does it fit into your day there? You've given one example there. You know, you've got a potential appraisal coming up. Well, how does Homesearch fit into your whole preparation for that appraisal, and indeed post if necessary? That'd be really useful to understand.
So I would say that's okay. So step by step, the new I haven't had a chance really to get on board with this prospect inside of it. I'm sure, I don't know if the other chaps have. That'd be interesting to hear. But that's going to be really, really useful with obviously targeting houses that are on the market. So that's going to be a daily exercise, I would suggest.
Yeah.
Where it's essentially it's updating. You're seeing what houses have reached different trigger points, either reductions or been on the market X amount of weeks.
Yeah. Opportunities. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we can get a nice targeted direct mail out to them, specific for them. So when an appraisal comes in, for example, I'll be literally going through Homesearch and the data available. That's now a core part of my valuation preparation. So it's going through and literally it gives the estimates on the sizing. It tells you, I mean, to be fair, with the business being ultra local, I like to think that I know about the roads anyway. But as Simon sort of mentioned, having the total value of the street, or this is how many houses are sold in this period of time, it really helps you go out and build that rapport. So then once that valuation is booked in, I'll personally print off the report and go and drop that through the door.
Yeah.
I know other people sometimes sort of write letters and do that type thing. I just think it's really nice just to try and stand out, because if no one else has done that, it looks like it's a step.
I think what's interesting is that there's no one set, just only one way of using it, isn't it? It's like all the best tools, you can actually still find your own way of personalising the service or solution.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really good.
So it personalises there. So in terms of actually going out on the appointment, the stats are in your head. You can then reel those off, and it's a really nice way about not boasting about yourself, but interests and building rapport.
And that's really important, not to boast about yourself. You know, to come at it from a lovely neutral angle like that and it sounds to me really that actually this is becoming then one of those, just like your telephone, your CRM system, this is becoming again one of those vital parts of the preparation.
Well, I don't use Chrome for anything except Homesearch. So it's always open. I've only got one tab open on it, and it's Homesearch constantly.
And now StreamYard with Kerfuffle, of course. But you know.
I'm actually on Edge, to be fair, and it's working perfectly.
I didn't even know it worked like that. There you are, PropTech legend. Those arseholes. So thank you for that.
The last thing I'll say is the really clever feature with the letters again is with applicants. It now enables you just to go out and find houses specific for them. So in the low stock market we're in, just build that rapport with the applicant rather than a potential vendor.
Yeah.
Delve into what houses specifically they want to buy.
Yeah.
And go and target them. And
it's great. I mean, what I think when you were talking there as well about the kind of the data side, there's lots of data services out there, but actually making meaningful use of that data is where it turns to gold, isn't it? Turning data into information. So kind of being able to kind of, I suppose, a Google-esque search on the data is where the magic really happens, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely.
Anyone else want to just talk us through how they use it as part of the process, or is it too soon for you yet, Mike?
Again, it's probably a bit too soon for us in that sense, but for me, it gives me peace of mind from a basis covered point of view because, like I say, it's probably taken the place of about 3 or 4 of our suppliers, which obviously there's a cost saving point of view there. But there's also, some offices are going to be really heavy users on one side of it. Other offices probably, we don't do that here, but we do such and such. So it's nice from my point of view to get the kind of the bases covered. And then we can also use it from a centralized point of view in terms of our prospecting, etc., which is just saved us, 50 pence in the pound straight out the gate. So it's quite interesting because everybody says that they've got the best data, and I'm sure they're all correct. But again,
they can't all be correct.
but I'm trying to be diplomatic. But the difference is it's what you do with it, and having Simon and the guys and girls like that behind the scenes who actually got opinion in terms of how you would and should be using it. That's where the real value is, because there's nothing worse than someone just being sat on the fence and going, well, you just need to update your content, don't you? Okay, great. Can you suggest, best practice? No. Right.
Yeah, and what's nice there is across a firm like yours, you've got some hugely experienced people, but you'll have new members of staff. Well, I'm guessing this is a real crutch, a real support to ensure that consistency is delivered as well, isn't it? In terms of the information you out.
Yeah. Freedom with a framework, I think, is the expression, isn't it? So we let people get on with it, but this is the tools and this is the parameters of what we expect.
Freedom in it.
Peter Knight on this, but I've got to credit Peter for that one. But yeah, it gives me that peace of mind that the guys and girls in the offices have got access to it, and they can put their own flavour on it. And yeah, fantastic. But we've got that level of continuity, but they're not robots either.
Yes, no, of course. You're not just chucking out data like some people fall into the trap of doing. So that's really useful to understand that. What about yourself, Chris? Is that?
No, I think Mike and Marcus have kind of touched on a lot of points, but I think the main thing is what you just said, actually, Simon, is like turning that data into actually usable information. And I think both the guys have just said it. It's having a story behind it. And what I've gathered already from speaking with the other guys on this call is it's interesting how different agents use it. And I think it just goes to show that there's multiple ways you can use it. And what's nice is when we have conversations like one-to-one with Simon, there's other things I haven't even thought of that I thought, I could do that. And I've never thought of it like that. I've been an estate agent for a while, but I've never thought of using it like that. In terms of the valuation, to say we use it on every valuation.
So you just froze there for a minute. I thought.
I'm sorry. No, I was going to say, in terms of like the valuation preparation, like Marcus was saying, I mean, we use it pretty much on every valuation now. We won't necessarily print anything off, so I like that idea from Marcus. But we always send the link out because that helps track how interested that vendor could be. Yeah. But on the other side of things, rather than just instead of just looking at buyers and vendors. When we first started, Simon gave us some great ideas to how to use that data to actually grow our business very quickly. So little things like we would stand in the middle of roads or a group of roads and do competitions and tell people about our new business, but actually give information to people that are watching. And I know we all know this, but it's all about giving the information to people, because rather than just talk about yourself, you want to make sure that you're giving stuff. So
I can never say the word, but I'll try it. Reciprocity, isn't it? Yeah, I've got it out. Because yes, exactly right. Is that you give something out and you can expect to get, or you shouldn't expect, but you do often get back more than you did in return, don't you? That's a lovely angle there.
That was great. And another idea we're hopefully going to be doing soon is just going into like the popular roads. And again, as the guys have indicated, you can literally find every bit of information about that road, how many houses are sold, how many haven't. We've done anniversary letters before, saying, did you know you've been in your house 25 years?
Love it. So even though you weren't the agent, you cheeky, jumping in there and say,
we're everywhere.
Congratulations, you've been there for 20 years. And look, there's a fairly good chance as well that couple doesn't remember who they bought or sold with, isn't it? So Josh Freeman talks about it, that great trainer. He does use your competitors' instructions as your own asset. Nothing wrong with that in the way that you're doing it. It's absolutely perfect there. You're being proactive, you're showing the expertise, and you're going to be the one that benefits. Because again, I guarantee if you do enough of that, when they come to think about selling, that long tail sales process there, rather than us all fighting over the minute we get the referral from Rightmove or Zoopla or anything else there, and it all gets into a mud fight and you've got a bit of trust there, haven't you, as much as anything. And of course, we're all going for that most vaunted of things, the uncontested appraisal. Well, you've got more of a chance of that if you deliver on that kind of experience, don't you?
For sure. Definitely.
Just talk to us about it'll be really interesting now. Some businesses, as you said, they can be first of all, they can be an industry's best kept secret, so they can struggle sometimes to get across what it does, because they can be very good technically. That's clearly not the case here. But then the other side is often they can struggle to get the real ROI out to people, because you do need to, you need to use the product intensively. I'm guessing from what I keep hearing back, certainly from you guys, is that, if you talk to the Homesearch team and tap into that experience they've got, that's where you're going to get real bang for your buck again, isn't it?
I think, sorry to jump in, but there was one thing that mentioned to one of your girls, Simon, Amy. We get, I think every other week, she'll drop us a quick email or a message, say, how you guys getting on? Is there anything else we can do? Do you want some ideas? And you don't get that I've never had that before. You're paying them every month. They've got you into the paying them. Most companies will leave you alone and say, just get the invoice every month. But the guys at Homesearch will literally just make sure that you're getting the value for money, as you were just saying. And we've had some, apart from one-to-ones with Simon, I mean, we've had loads of ideas. And also, it makes me want to give ideas back as well. So if we've created a good templated letter for something, I'll say, Amy, look, share it with the Homesearch guys, because it might help other people. So
you've certainly you've got a community thing going on there, haven't you? As much that's just as important. Yeah. What about you guys in terms of that onboarding process and the ability to tap into these guys as well?
Should we go, Mike?
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
You're there.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, I think someone's not going to like the way I described this, but I look at Simon now. Obviously, came on board as just a customer. I now look at Simon as more of a colleague, and probably the cheapest colleague I'm ever going to have. Not having to pay him a wage, but for example, Monday night I had a fake Google review came through at 10:30 at night, but Simon was on the other end of the phone and we were talking it through and what we can do about it. I'm talking about building relationships with potential consumers and potential customers, which if you go a step further, the Homesearch guys have built relationships with us. So that's really, they're doing the same thing to us, to what we're trying to do with the customers.
It's a lovely angle, isn't it, to be able to have. Well, I say unfortunately, the nature of the world is that corporates acquire other businesses, and those cottage industries, those cottage companies, they become corporate then, and they lose that. You can call your team's customer success executives or whatever else there. It doesn't magically just mean that still happens overnight. You still need to believe and deliver on that dream, don't you? So it becomes very clear in terms of these conversations which companies put it on the wall and which ones actually believe in the client comes first. And I think we're seeing that here. What about yourself, Mike?
Yeah, much the same really in terms of extremely accessible. And I have my opinions on things, but again, when the staff speak to Simon, and Simon goes, "No, that's how it works." It's great validation from that point of view. But again, I think that agency background is really crucial because we're talking the same language, and I think that's massive.
Once you've been there before, isn't it? It's a fantastic one. And you've got an extra challenge there, of course, like we're talking about. You've got to disseminate all this information across your company. So was that handled in a nice, planned fashion, I suppose, or does it just naturally take time to cascade that knowledge down?
A bit of both, really. But ultimately, you've not got a second chance to make a first impression. So we did the onboarding last month, and everyone came away going, "It's really good, that, isn't it?" So you can work from there. Whereas there's other stuff that we've brought in, and people have just gone away scratching their heads, going, "Yeah, righto." I'll wait for the next.
Enough about that. The caveat emptor, they say. You can forgive me now. It's been 10 years. Anyway, I'm fighting on your side now, Mike. That's the important thing to remember. I'm a poacher turned gatekeeper. So I suppose getting to the key questions as well, gents. What would you say to somebody considering Homesearch? And I think I ask this in two different ways. First of all, obviously, what I'm hoping, unless Marcus is going to throw us another of those, he's going to do a kind of, it's not good, it's great. but not just in terms of the thumbs up. We know we're getting that. But also as well is what advice would you give to anybody to get the most out of it going forward? Because sometimes that can be really helpful as well, isn't it? What you know now, which you didn't know when you went live. And let's do the old hands up thing. Anyone want to? This is all. None of them want to say
with your account manager because we are busy and agents are particularly busy at the moment. So to get the best value out of stuff that you aren't necessarily going to have to use all the time, there's going to be that draw to want to use it. And if you believe in it, then that's quite easy.
Mike, just one of the things we're going on about, actually, you've mentioned it before, you can't have too many spinning plates when you're rolling this. In a company of your size, we're just trying to come on a bit of advice ourselves over at Kerfuffle Towers, as it were. How many kind of prop projects do you think you can onboard in a quarter? It's not too many, is it? I mean, realistically, one or two?
Well, that's probably too many. It's probably one or two a year.
Something like a valuation tool, something like really commoditized, but to really get that's what you were talking about there. And the reason I'm saying this is you're all 1 quarter's gone. You've got 3 quarters left of the year, as long as my GCSE maths is okay there. So you really need to start thinking carefully about this, don't you? What are your priorities? And start talking to the team now to get to start getting the best out of this.
The money is always a factor, but there's a huge cost, however you want to assign the value of that cost in terms of time, credibility, and all this kind of stuff, in terms of actually putting something in. Yeah. So when you are bringing something into your business and you've got to, spin all those different plates, you've got to be confident that it's worth fighting for, really. Otherwise, it just doesn't work.
Excellent. Marcus, yourself, what would you say to anybody thinking about Homesearch?
So trying to stay off of any cliches if I can. For me, as I've sort of said, the best feature is getting involved with it. Have your one-on-ones with Simon and all the team, because genuinely it's enlightening. Watch all the videos. It gives ideas that I wouldn't have thought of, genuinely. But for me, the best way to get the return on investment is the letter tool. And I'm banging on about it, but I really believe, I'm passionate about it. I believe in it. I've tried other letter sending products before for direct mail. Didn't get the response because we were just sending anything. We were sending, you've been on the market 4 weeks, you've been on the market 8 weeks, you've been on the market 12 weeks. It's rubbish. So get that right message across. And each letter, it literally costs less than ourselves. So it's direct mail, but cheaper than if I was to print them off and send them myself. So,
I think somebody tried to censor you there as you gave the critical information about. I don't know whether Simon's got some sort of button there. just tell us that again in terms of how much it was costing.
It's so in terms of every letter you're sending, it's cheap. I'm not going to say it costs, but it's cheaper than if you were to have a stamp, print the letter off here, and put it in the letterbox.
Yeah, I don't want to do the old testify thing, but I just can't believe why you would ever try and do anything like that yourself, or with one of these services. Once you take into the time, effort, all the rest of it, it's just a complete no-brainer, isn't it?
So for me, that's the main take-home. Literally focus on your content, get involved with the letters. Don't just sign up to Homesearch and just do it. That's fine.
Yeah.
But you want to get a return on investment, not just get information. That will literally just generate you money, income straight away.
Excellent. That's really useful feedback. Thank you, Marcus. And Chris, yourself?
Yeah, I think I think that the market at the moment, we've all had a great last year with everything going on, and obviously with the news today, stamp duty and everything, it's looking really positive. But markets change, and I think that for me anyway, being a newer business, prospecting is key. And if it's not done right, then how can you expect to grow? And I think from using Homesearch is, if you are thinking about using Homesearch, then for an agent nowadays, I think the whole way of estate agencies changed a lot because of what's been going on. So using Homesearch to prospect new clients is, for me, it's key. We don't have massive volumes of listings or anything, but the data that we have, as we've said before, it turns into knowledge. People would rather deal with people that have that knowledge rather than just doing a blanket canvas. And as Marcus was saying, you can use these letters really cleverly. And the new prospect tool that they've just launched, we've only been doing it for about a week, so we haven't seen any results yet because we've only literally just started. But if you go on it, it's like, how do I describe it? If I'm allowed to say this, it's like Zoopla Pro, but on steroids. Like, it just does it straight away. It's like dun dun dun. It's like done.
Well, you said it, Chris, but you did now stop Zoopla coming on kerfuffle, but that's fine. Absolutely.
I mean, more for the prospecting though. I think that's the key. Is it's the information from that. So yeah.
I think it's brilliant to know. I mean, that's what people want to know, isn't it? They want to know what other people are, other systems they're using, and how they compare as well. So I think that's great. The most important thing is you're just doing it, isn't it? Because we all remember, we've all been in business. You've done it ourselves, where you're obviously quiet. You've got to build a business, so you work till you're cotton socks off to do that, and then you get busy. That's where the real challenge and the sliding doors moments for a business comes, isn't it? Because it's all too easy then just to get, appointments, following up on the business. But if your prospecting falls off at that point, then you get into that feast and famine wave, don't you? That just is consistent, and the really great companies managing to smooth that line out, don't they?
Definitely.
Well, a couple of you mentioned it, and so I'm glad that certainly Marcus has gone on about it as well. So if we just go over to your wonderful landing page on the big pink site, the big pink one itself, lovely 5-star reviews there, quite a few nice reviews. If we have a look down here, people like Gareth Burkett, Oliver Conran Estates, all great. I always encourage everyone, obviously, to go and have a look at whatever provider you're looking at. If you go into the overview section, you can see any of the previous ones we've done before. We've even got real reporters like Christopher Watkins on there as well. So there is some quality on this site. The thing I'm drawing people's attention to here, though, is we have got an exclusive kerfuffle deal with Homesearch here, where they will provide 650 included letter credits to be used in the onboarding process. So if you are interested, click on that. Because from what we're hearing here from Marcus and the guys, is that strikes me as being an absolutely exceptional way of being able to dip your toe in the water and make sure you're on top of it. Because we all know, winning these appointments, and it's an unbalanced market at the moment, and it's hard to see it getting any better if you're not, going out and being proactive. I'll take your silence as a guaranteed, definitely yes.
Definitely yes.
It's incredible. So Simon, first of all, comments back to the guys here. That very much, I suppose, is making sure that you feel like you're on the right track.
Yeah, 100%. I knew. Well, I purposefully got Mike, Marcus, and Chris on because they're 3 different kind of setup of agents from different parts of the country, so I thought it'd be a good diverse range of how agents are using the system. And something I come up against is agents going, well, what if everyone starts using it? That has been a prime example where 3 agents have all said, that's interesting, I use it differently. So we provide that data, and it's to the agents to then augment what they do so that they can turn that data into information and then use that how they best fit in their marketplace. Because again, Knock Dighton, where Mike is, will use it differently from Chris in Worthing, for example. So everyone's got their own different ideas. But no, it's been amazing to hear what they've all said.
It's always a bit weird, that one, isn't it? In terms of what. Well, shall I get a telephone then? That competitor down the street has a phone. Just these tools at the end of the day, how you use them and what you deliver with that is the critical element.
To give you an example on that as well, and in saying that, there's 4 agents in a particular sort of market town, and there's 3 agents using it who have got dominant market share, and there's 1 not using it, and they are hemorrhaging money and losing market share. They don't want it. They're not necessarily wanting to use it though, because they say, well, everyone else is using it. Won't it dilute the product? And it's like, but you're the only one not using it, and you're the only one not getting results. And again, I've got 2 agents in one town, both using Homesearch. And I say the word use lightly or loosely, because one pays for it, but the other one actually pays for it, logs in, gets on sessions. So actually, I digress slightly, but Chris and Marcus, to use you as an example, would you say when we first jumped on a call together with Homesearch and I showed you a few bits, you both went, I didn't know you could do that?
100%.
I'm still learning now.
Yeah. So it's forever evolving, and there are agents out there, and I sort of say, spend 30 minutes with me on a Zoom call and let's go through things. And it makes me laugh when an agent goes, wait, go back a second, what was that? What did you click? And it's a golden moment where they're like, wow, didn't realize. They already loved what it did, and they didn't realize actually they weren't even using a quarter of what the system had to offer.
I thought you were going to get, when you were talking about that company that wasn't using you, I thought you were going to get really really edgy and say, take that. Yeah, you're not using it. How'd you like that then? Anyway, we'll work on that in the next. Maybe that's the next panel show. We invite on a load of people not using it, and we just diss them. Mike, did you want to say a word? Did I see you were very polite? Did you put your hand up there?
No. I'm just listening and enjoying the show. But I have got one thing to say, else I'll get in trouble. A little bird tells me it's Simon's first Homesearch birthday.
Well, Mike, you've been here on time. You'd have missed it.
It sounds like Sam sent out a group message to us all earlier then, didn't it?
Yeah, Mike says this is why he was late, and he's going to show you a cake. Brilliant, guys. Look, I think that's absolutely fantastic, useful information. I think it's really, really great. You can take time out. For me, it's always a big one as well, because you'll be amazed. Some suppliers really struggle to get even just a few people on here to talk effusively about it. So it really does matter to I'm sure the guys, Sam and Simon, they'll say thank you in their own time. But from our point of view, it's great for you to give this feedback to the rest of the industry. Everyone encourage you to get on a call with Simon. It sounds like he's got a lot wrapped up in that head to be able to extol to people. Thank you, and have a great week.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Simon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.